All right, we will go ahead and begin. This is the regular meeting of the Electronic Records Working Group. It is June 7th, 2023, meeting at 10 a.m. via Zoom web meetings and YouTube Live. I'd like to thank you all for attending. It has been a month or two since we were able to meet, so this should be a productive meeting. I'm going to begin with the customary roll call. And what I will do is read off the members present, and if you would unmute, if you are muted, and indicate your agency that you are participating as part of. That seems to be the most effective method. And then I will read off the guests who are present. So beginning with, in the order I see you, Glenn McAninch.
Glenn McAninch, formerly KDLA.
Thank you. Graham Gray.
Graham Gray here on behalf of the Auditor of Public Accounts.
Thank you. Catherine Estes.
Catherine Estes with COT.
Thank you. Jeremy Foster.
Jeremy Foster, Secretary of State's Office.
Shamara Jackson.
Shamar Jackson, representing Lexington Fayette Urban County Government.
Thank you. Lynn McCroskey.
Lynn McCroskey, COT.
Jenny Link.
Jenny Link, I'm representing KCTCS.
Thanks. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Rob Hill.
Rob Hill, KDLA.
That is all of the voting members present. I will read off our guests. We have Heath Reynolds, Drew Preston, David Atha, Joe Isaac, Sarah Garrett, Brian Wixom, Catherine Giles, Nicole Bryan, and Becca Hallmeyer, all from KDLA. With roll call complete, I'd like to pull up the first agenda item, which is the approval of the April 5th meeting minutes. I hope everyone had a chance to look at them. Unless there were any additions or inaccuracies, do we have a movement to approve?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please unmute and say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, then the April 5th minutes are approved. Next, we will go to announcements. I'm going to first, again, welcome Jenny Link. She is replacing Tammy Satterley for the, let me pull my actual announcements up. She is once again replacing Tammy Satterley as a representative from the Kentucky Community and Technical College System, and we are glad to have you. This is a pretty, though we vote, it's a pretty free-form conversation, so you may, pipe in whenever you want. We are currently putting the final touches on a document we've been working on for a long time, the guidelines on communication in Kentucky public agencies, and it's been a long time coming. I hope to conclude our conversation on that today, and then we can get that back to the other bodies that will review it. Other announcements, KDLA has a new commissioner, and I hope that the word has reached you, but if not, our commissioner and state librarian Denise Lyons began at KDLA on May 1st. And I'm going to read a little bit from the cabinet's announcement to give you some of her background. It says, a North Carolina transplant, Denise brings 30 years of professional experience in education in addition to working with nonprofit organizations and libraries. Her expertise includes professional development, early and family literacy, project management, and strategic planning. Most recently, she has been conducting original research on emergency preparedness and the value of libraries to communities during disasters. Denise holds a certificate in executive management from the University of Washington, a master's degree in library and information science from the University of South Carolina, and a master's degree in public service management from DePaul University, and a bachelor's in journalism from Boston University. So we've met and talked. She's been very active in meeting management here and everyone here, and I think she's going to be a great fit and provide some nice direction for both divisions of our agency. So I'd like to welcome her. Other new staff within our division, Brian Wixom joins us. He is our new quality assurance specialist for grant projects and non-grant projects. And we're happy to have him. That vacancy was open for a long time. And we're glad to have someone in there. He really has hit the ground running, and I know he is going to do a great job. That is all of our announcements. So I will move on to agenda item 3, new business. And in this case, I'd like to open the floor because I don't have any. Is there anything that has come up since our last meeting that you would like to bring before the group? Okay. That is not a problem. We will then move to agenda item 4, which is discuss guidelines for managing electronic communications in Kentucky public agencies, which is our new title, and I like it. I will go ahead and share my screen and pull up the draft as we last left it. You can all see that. So we were working our way through this document last time and had quite a lively discussion. We had brought the comments from the Archives and Records Advisory Committee, who had just seen this for the first time, back to the Electronic Records Working Group. And it did make us sort of relitigate some of what we'd already decided and walk back. But I think that only made that conversation and the outcome and further tweaking that we did to this document, I think, was a very good thing. So we did not fully get through all of the comments because of time constraints. The meeting had to end, but certain just housekeeping things. There was an insert hyperlink. I've since done that in this document.
Before you scroll any further,
Absolutely.
when I was looking, I just have a question. The definition of metadata just seemed really broad. That first thing, information about email messages or any other record. I looked at what some others like states have. We don't, but like one state had that, excuse me, I can find that here. Just Arizona, for instance, has descriptive information about a document that is not displayed within the viewable content of the document. So when we say information about an email, so if I send someone an email saying, well, I think I sent you an email a couple of weeks ago, I'll try to find it. Well, that email is information about an email, but me saying that, I don't know that that would be what we consider metadata. Now, I'm not a tech person. The COT representative here may be able to give, I'm sure they can give much better guidance to me, but I was just curious about that definition because it just seemed real broad to me.
Okay. It certainly doesn't need to be broad, and I think we could enhance this by adding the fact that it is not visually straightforward necessarily. It is called like behind the scenes data. A lot of the time, some of it, you know, like the timestamp, the send,
Right.
those are recorded
Right.
behind the scenes and are part of the visible content. So we can certainly tweak this to include the fact that it may, well, it actually says some or all of this metadata may or may not be a visible part of the message,
Right.
self-contained and stored elsewhere and linked, which is true.
Right.
So,
Like I say, I was just curious if everyone else is fine with that, but I was just, it seemed a little on the broad side, but that was all. Just a question.
I don't know. I think it looks pretty complete.
Okay.
Does anyone, especially from COT, have any further ways we could enhance this definition?
I love the wording, the exact wording that he actually stated in there. It seems, even though we basically have that it may not be visible as part of the message, I really like the wording that they use, because metadata is just basically data that describes information, right? So it's data about data.
Yep.
So sometimes that's a little difficult to understand. I feel like we cover that, but I understand where the confusion can come in. And I really love the wording of the example that he brought up. I think it's very clear.
Okay. I'm thanks.
Would you like me to just email everyone some of the statutes I found? That everyone can see that?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. All right.
I haven't read that definition for some time because it's such a big document. We've talked about, we've parsed, you know, different parts of it, but I think it's a pretty good definition. But thank you, Graham, because every bit of this document should be agreed upon and understood by the whole group.
Okay, I just emailed it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm zipping through this pretty quick because we got through most of this document last time. There were a couple comments at the end that I really do not need to be relitigated. It was the same ones that were further up in the document. So I think this is a reminder and actually an exact repeat of the disclaimer, or where we discourage the use on private devices. So I would, if everyone is okay with it, the one that we workshopped and went over, I would like to just, I'm going to propose that we take it and move it down here as well, and where it's in the appropriate section. I don't see any reason to change it again.
That sounds good.
Okay, excellent.
Then, if you would scroll back up,
Yes,
are you going to resolve those other comments?
yes, I will.
Okay, thank
I
you.
wanted to clear it. I left them on there because we didn't get to them.
Okay.
I wanted to clear it with this group that we could go ahead and do that.
Okay.
I want to see if there's any more comments. I don't believe there are. Okay, very good. That's page 18. I'm going to zip up and get our disclaimer. That's the disclaimer. This is what I believe was restated down below. Yeah, so that's the line I'm going to copy. Go down to 18. And now instead of KDLA discourages the use of private devices and accounts to conduct public business, we will paste that in. So now it reads, as a reminder, KDLA discourages the use of private devices and accounts to conduct public business. Doing so can bring about legal complications and make it more difficult to manage public records under Kentucky law. And I will save that. Nothing else has changed since we've gone through this. We still have examples that are subject to change. The idea is we're going to return this document every year or so because it's such and it'll just come up in review of our current. Glenn is shaking his head. Maybe every 2 years we could go easy on ourselves. And but the point is the software is going to change, and that's why we link to kits. That's where the approved software is listed. We don't need to list it in its entirety. That is all the comments from the advisory committee resolved among us. So is there anything else within this document we would like to bring up today? Or would we like to put it away and run it up the flagpole again later when the advisory meets? I think there's a consensus based on faces to put it away for now, and I'm more than ready to do that. So thank you very much for your work on this. It's been a long time coming. Once again, I feel pretty good about it. So we will see how we fare with the advisory and commission. I'm going to
So-
stop. Oh, go ahead, Dylan.
When does the advisory next meet?
Well, timing's not on our side. They just met last week. So that's okay. We can put this away and have it ready. We're going to be updating more documents. If you've seen the agenda and September 7th. Thank you, Catherine Giles chimed in. So that one is going to be broadcast just like these are, so you can watch it and be up to date on the discussion and follow it through the process. The commission meetings also broadcast on YouTube. And if anyone wants these links, for those members who let me know they couldn't make it today, I told them I'd send them the link to this one. That's always on our YouTube channel under live streams. So I love being able to go back and watch it to get not just for meeting minutes, but just to remind myself. Sometimes we go 2 months between meetings, So, okay, I'm going to close that and pull up the next agenda item, which is a 2011 document that we're posting on our webpage. The electronic signature record keeping guidelines. And I will share my screen for that one as well. Now I have I'll get it shared and then talk about it. I have some directional ideas about this document. I did some digging between then and now. The biggest factors, of course, are the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act passed in 1999, UETA for short, and then the e-Sign Act, signed into law federally in 2000. This document, obviously, the prevalence, just the ubiquitousness of e-signatures has grown a lot since 2011. I believe it could use a good rewriting. As far as actual Kentucky and federal law, I don't believe it's changed. Can anyone speak to that? Because I looked and did not find anything that has really changed the application and legality of e-signatures.
I looked, I reviewed this and nothing really substantive jumped out at me. Most of the things I saw were just minor citation things that need to be corrected, and then like outdated links and, some of the references at the end. But no, I'm not aware of any substantive like statutory changes or anything.
Okay, good. Yeah, I read through KRS chapter 369. That's where a lot of this is. So, sorry, those of you who had a chance to review this, do you have any direct suggestions for the document at this time?
I read through it, but I'm not familiar with current practices in state government with regard to e-signatures. I looked at the Secretary of State's site, and I know that they're heavily involved in it. So I look to them for direction. I noticed a lot of things are not mentioned in the document, like notary use of e-signature, which is being adopted slowly, as I understand. And so, as I say, I look to their direction. My basic concern beyond representing, calling to question various things, my basic concern is from the archival angle. And I suspect that a lot of things that have e-signatures are not being archived at KDLA. They are being maintained permanently in an agency or multiple agencies for certain documents that are transfer. So
certain documents for sure. I think it depends on the record type. I believe we
Right.
do take in, aside from, the the avalanche of records we get at the end of an administration, we do get a slow and steady feed of records, and some of them are absolutely e-signed, and many of them don't necessarily need to be transferred to us, so they're maintained in their agency. Some we would like to be transferred to us, but they haven't got around to it yet. So I think it's a good thing. We might be able to elaborate that the process has become a lot more streamlined and changed. Anyone who's bought a house or a car knows this. You get the document sent to you with a nice like yellow box around everywhere you're supposed to sign an initial. It's become very transactional, and so I think we could discuss that more and discuss that the final document is what is retained, that contains the signatures, and sort of get into that aspect, because it's happening, more and more, even in local government.
yeah, my concern mostly is the transfer of a document for permanent retention requires that all of the keys be transferred and maintained, and of course limiting the amount of software, which kits I suppose is effective in limiting the number of software that's used. But those are the greatest difficulties for the archives or state government in general in maintaining things long term.
To speak to Glenn's point, in the Secretary of State's office, it's kind of a mixed bag on when we accept an electronic signature or not. Any corporate documents or UCC documents we do. Anything with the governor's executive journal, election documents, or notary applications, we do not. We have to have the wet signature on those.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think chapter 369 dictates, or at least spells out in its definitions, it must be an agreed upon electronic signatures. The use of them must be agreed upon by both parties, and in that way, it kind of leaves it up to the agency in question, be that the governor's executive journals or even in our cabinet, they still require seemingly at random wet signatures. So it's the processes may not have caught up, and there may not be just the policy in place to support them. I could see based on, you know, the governor, you will probably want that wet signature on any executive order and the like, or any law he's signing. But it is becoming more rampant. So we can acknowledge the hybrid aspect of it. I think we can drive home the fact that it must be based on the statutes. It must be agreed upon by both parties ahead of the transaction. Jeremy, do you like the idea of including the expanded use of this by notaries?
I do like that, yeah. And I'll probably get with our director of corporations, business services, and try to nail down some language that we can insert in this, because that's almost a mixed bag also when we get into e-notaries, because they don't even have to be in the state anymore. So yeah, we will work up some language that we can insert into this.
Excellent, thank you. So I like I have the kits up for this too, the kits entry, and there's no interagency entry for it. It's a electronic commerce electronic signature. So like Jeremy said, it seems easier to do with private companies, and then within government, it is kind of a free for all. It's up to the agency to dictate what format they're comfortable in doing business with. So that could be noted. So I don't want to exactly group write this today. That's a slow process, but I want to make sure that we have an idea of the scope, that everyone's read it, and this could be something we do in Google Docs. We can take the text and put it up there with suggestions. No actual rewriting outside of this meeting, but I want to confirm that doesn't like happen. It's always in the form of a suggestion that we review live in this meeting. So nothing is being changed behind the scenes. It's just being looked at and proposed. What I will do, similar to what we did with the other documents, anyone I'm going to get this into a format that we can work with a little easier, and then anyone who's interested in taking a pass at it, and I'm definitely going to propose some additions and some rewritten sections. We will just do that in Google Docs between now and our next meeting. And then we'll have a lot to work with by our July meeting, hopefully. Does that sound good? All right. And please, unless you want to tell me verbally right now, just shoot me an email letting me know you want the link to this, and I will get you set up as an editor.
I would like a link to it.
I see Graham and Glenn. Okay. And anyone, I can't see everybody since I'm sharing my screen. So if you raised your hand, I apologize. Just shoot me an email and we'll get it going. Any other thoughts on this document from anyone we haven't heard from yet? Or from anyone we have? Okay, well, I think that's a good plan of action. This is a revision and we're just making it up to date and accurate. So I have a feeling this is going to be a different experience than our other guidelines. So I'm thank you all for your input this early, and we will then move on. Well, that didn't last long. Are there any agenda recommendations for our next meeting? So far, I can guarantee that the electronic signatures will make it into that meeting. Do we want to wait until full approval of the loan communications document before we work on the quick reference, or do we want to get a jump on the quick reference?
I think it'd be wise to get a jump on the, since
Since
I don't
it'll be a little while.
anticipate general changes. We've gone through a lot of hoops, so I think it would be good to have the short version, at least a draft, ready to go.
Yeah, and some things like the email section and everything, those are not going to be dissected. They're not going to change. So I mean, things like that we can get. Okay, so we'll definitely discuss the quick reference and the digital signature document. Anything else? Well, all right. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. I suppose we'll put it to vote. Unmute and say aye if you want to leave.
Aye.
All
Or
right.
just leave.
Or just leave. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. And this was productive and snappier than our last meeting. So we will meet in early July. Thank you all.
Bye.